I've got some cassava boiling away here. It's almost tender. It's probably got about 5-10 more minutes to go before it's tender. Chris here at CaribbeanPot.com. Thanks again for joining me in the kitchen. Today I'm going to show you guys how to make the cassava mash that I had with the oxtails that I made. Speaking of oxtail, here's that a little reminder of that oxtail dish again. Here it is. It was braised in Guinness, and I'm just heating up the remainder here just to have some lunch today. But here's the recipe for mashed cassava as you would mashed potatoes, except we're gonna add some cheese, a little dash of nutmeg, all kind of goodness to this. Thanks for joining me in the kitchen, guys. Let's get cracking. We're gonna make that mashed cassava. The ingredients for making this cassava mash is fairly simple. There's a few ingredients actually. Here I've got a teaspoon of salt, about half a cup of evaporated milk, half a cup of grated cheddar. This is a strong cheddar, an aged cheddar. If you can get a white aged cheddar, amazing. Try that. The nutty, strong flavor is amazing. I'm going to give it a pinch of nutmeg, a tablespoon of butter, about 1/4 of a teaspoon of fresh ground black pepper, and I've got here 2 pounds of cassava. The sort of white stuff that you see on the outside is a wax that they dip it in before they ship it out to North America, I guess, just to help preserve it. But this means peeling and removing the center heart and stuff like that. So it's a bit of work. If you want to avoid that, go in your frozen section of your grocery store and you'll see cassava, it may be called yuca, already peeled and cut up into pieces, just ready for boiling. Just follow the instructions on the baggage, the bag that it's sold in, for boiling. But as far as this goes, we're going to peel this and then we're going to boil it to prepare it. Pretty much the cassava mash is straightforward, like a mashed potato or something, but instead we're using this lovely ground provision called cassava, or yuca I think it's called, throughout Central and South America. Here's how we're going to prepare the cassava for boiling. What I did was I cut up each one into about 2.5 to 3 inch length pieces, just with a sharp knife or something. Then all you're going to do, using a paring knife, you're going to a thin cut down the center, and then using that as a guide, you're going to put the paring knife in there and just peel back on it. Notice how it's peeling back? I'm just removing the sort of outer skin here. Now additionally, and I'm just going to continue doing that, additionally what you can do is use a potato peeler and just peel it off. Pretty much all I did was I'm peeling back on there. And there we go, there's a sort of outer skin, and this is the peeled cassava. Now what I'm going to do is cut it down the center, and you're going to see a sort of woodsy sort of interior here. This you want to pull out. It's a sort of, it's like a root almost. Just give it a cut down the center and remove that part there. And there we go. This is ready to go in the pot to boil. I'm just going to show you that one more time. See that sort of it looks like a root, but it's pretty much the heart of the cassava. Just going to give it a thin cut. Removed. That's it, we're good to go. I'm going to continue peeling these, and I'm probably going to cut this up into smaller pieces, so maybe like this, and put it in the pot to boil. I'm done peeling it. I've cut it up into small pieces, as you can see here, and I'm just going to give that a quick rinse, drain that water out, and then I'm going to top it back up with cool water, just so it goes about 1 inch or 2 above the final piece, or the top piece of cassava that we have here. I'm just gonna, and then what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put it on a high flame to bring it up to a boil. So there we go, it's all good, it's nice and covered there with the water. Just gonna put that up to boil now. I'm gonna add the salt to this and bring it up to a boil. So the salt is pretty much, I guess I can put it in there one time. The salt's in there, it's going to boil now. On a high heat, it took about maybe 4 minutes for this to come up to a boil. If you notice, there's some bubbles starting to happen here. one other thing, as this boils, you're gonna notice some sort of frothy stuff at the very top, frothy, starchy stuff. Just spoon that off and toss it out. It's come up to a boil now, so what I'm gonna do is turn down the heat so it's sort of a rolling boil and let that cook until it's tender. How are you gonna figure out if it's tender? You're gonna take a fork or a knife and pierce pieces of the cassava with it, and once there's no resistance, it means it's cooked all the way through. It usually takes anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes depending on the variety of cassava that you're using, as well as how big the pieces are you have in the pot here. So I'm going to allow this to boil, and then we're going to get to the next step after that. It's been about 20 minutes or so. Again, this is going to vary according to, again, the cassava that you use, as well as the variety of cassava. There are tons of different varieties of cassava. I only learned this a couple of days ago while watching a video on YouTube. So what I'm going to do is, using a sharp knife, I'm just going to pierce through. And notice how it's falling apart. Get another piece up on top. Notice how it's going through without any resistance. That means it's fully cooked. So what I'm going to do now is drain that. But before I drain that, what I'm going to do is the evaporated milk. I'm going to heat that up in the microwave for a little bit because I got it straight out of the fridge. We want that milk nice and warm when we add it to the mashing process. I've got the cassava all drained now, so all I'm going to do is start building on those flavors. I'm going to hit them first with the black pepper, a nice good dose of freshly ground black pepper, the tablespoon of butter, I'm going to start off with half the milk, and we're going to add as we go on. And I'm going to dump in that cheese in there now. Half of the, well, all of the cheese. And then we're going to start mashing. But before we do, we want to give it that little hit of nutmeg. Now, using my potato masher, all I'm going to do is mash that nicely. It's going to be a bit soggy at first, and it does take a little bit of effort. I will be required to clean off my masher as we go along. Give it a good stir. Using some good elbow grease in my masher, I mashed it up for about 3-4 minutes. It's nice and chunky. It's all done now here. This is probably enough for about 4 people with, it's as a side dish. It's nice and creamy. I checked it for salt, being that I used a teaspoon of salt when I first started, when I boiled the cassava. And again, my tolerance for salt is different than yours, so this is perfect for me. You guys can certainly add some more salt if you want. As far as the evaporated milk goes, instead of the half a cup that I called for, I basically use 1/4 cup. However, have a half a cup on hand because, again, depending on the consistency of your cassava, you may require the full half cup. This on its own is a wonderful vegetarian side. Now, I made mine for the Guinness braised oxtail. I will have that link for that Guinness braised oxtail recipe in the comments section below. What I'm going to do here now is getting my lovely oxtail. Just going to pour it on there. Grab another piece. Hit him a little bit of that gravy. And there you go, guys. Mashed cassava with Guinness braised oxtail. Remember, if you're watching this on YouTube, give me some love. Click on the subscribe link above. Below is where you're going to leave me your comments. And speaking about love, hit the thumbs up or the like button for this video. Let me give you guys a close-up if I can. There we go. Thanks again for joining me in the kitchen. Chris here at CaribbeanPot.com. Enjoy the day, guys.